The Chicago business scene is as diverse as the city itself. But we don't always hear from the entrepreneurs who keep the Chicago economy colorful. That's where I come in. I'm Micaela Brown, and this is the Minority Report. Chicago United is an organization that was born from the civil rights movement in the late 60s. Its mission has remained unchanged from those early years, to promote diversity at the highest ranks of corporate Chicago. I met with President and CEO Gloria Castillo to talk about what diversity in the workplace looks like today, how soon full diversity is achievable, and what millennials can do to make their startups more diverse. Chicago United was founded right when the civil rights movement was at its peak. Can you tell me more about that story?
Chicago United has this amazing history. It was founded following the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 100 cities across the country, you had riots, you had neighborhoods that burned. What was unique in Chicago, though, was that the downtown area was so close to the west side that was burning that CEOs could actually see the west side burning from their offices in the tall buildings in Chicago. And they made a decision that they were going to take personal responsibility for creating change. And that's the model that Chicago United still operates in.
There are cons to diversity, such as constructive disagreements that can hinder projects in completion. Tell me more about that.
Anytime you bring diversity into a group dynamic, you're going to create more complexity. And so it's the management of diversity that makes the difference, that delivers the benefits. But without that complexity, you also don't get great new answers. You don't drive innovation. So you can have a team that works together beautifully and functions together beautifully, but doesn't come up with anything new. Innovation is the lifeblood of every corporation. So certainly there are disadvantages to those organizations who bring diversity in and don't build their skill sets to manage the diversity. But those who do drive greater innovation, and the complexity actually adds richness, texture, and relations to their clients.
You know, it's been said that the new racism is acknowledging that there isn't any racism. What do you think about that?
When people tell me that they don't see race, they don't see difference, I know they're not telling the truth, because each one of us values our differences. And indeed, when people tell you that race doesn't matter, ethnicity doesn't matter, you're denying an individual's culture. And that's true for white males as well. People often leave white males out of the equation. In fact, no one wants to be looked at as part of a monolithic group.
So there is a higher percentage of millennials that are breaking out and starting their own businesses and not even working in corporate America out of college. What's some advice that you can give to make sure that they create a diverse team when they first start their business?
That if they really want to continue to develop their markets, they have to be able to mirror the markets that exist and look at the growing markets. The fastest growing demographic is actually Asian. The largest growing demographic is Latino. And certainly the African American market is growing in strength and capabilities. And so anyone who is starting a firm today and isn't looking at the demographic landscape is making a mistake.
There's a study that said in 2030, workplace leadership will be all diverse. Do you believe that?
No, I don't. The workforce will certainly be diverse. In Chicago, if we look at the changing demographics of the workplace, and we look at the rate of change in executive level management in Chicago's firms, and we project those out, we're looking at 64 years before we see parity between executive level management and workforce diversity. What is important to note, though, in that study, the change is being largely driven by an acceleration of Asians into executive level ranks, and then to a lesser degree, Latinos in executive level ranks. But African Americans are very much in a flat line in that study.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, to go back to an earlier question, race matters. And we are still challenged with full integration.
The Bridge Awards is coming up, and so is your annual conference. How did that all start, and where is it today?
When I was recruited to Chicago United in 2003, I realized the organization had this incredibly rich history, and we produce great research. It became very clear to me, though, that our research didn't have a place where it was going to be released on a regular basis. So we began the Changing Color of Leadership Conference and Bridge Awards dinner in 2003. It's important because it's the one place in the city that you see all of the business community come together. It is also the only event in the country where a CEO is honored for bringing diversity, racial and ethnic diversity, to their board of directors.